Hi everyone, my name is César Garza. I'm a math professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, and in this video I'm going to show you how I implement growth mindset techniques in my classes so that you implement the same techniques in your own STEM courses. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you how you can implement the growth mindset policy in your own classrooms. Let me explain first what is growth mindset. When students experience failure or encounter learning obstacles, they usually may come to doubt themselves and their abilities. Many students interpret academic setbacks to mean that they're just not cut out for certain subjects like math, computer science, history, etc. Students who endorse growth mindset beliefs, so this means that the belief that intelligence is a changeable trait that can be improved through hard work, persistence, help-seeking, and adopting good strategies, these students tend to be more motivated, persistent, and better performing in school than students who endorse a fixed mindset belief. So this is the belief that intelligence is innate and largely unchangeable. People with a fixed mindset wish to appear intelligent because they believe that failing to do so reveals a weakness. People with a growth mindset are much less apprehensive about how their intelligence is perceived because they believe that knowledge and ability can be improved through effort. So a fixed mindset is saying like, it's okay if you're having trouble, maybe algebra isn't one of your strengths. How many times we hear something like this in a classroom? But a growth mindset statement is, well, when you learn how to do a new kind of problem, it develops your math brain. So some of the stuff that I'm going to explain here is going to be using my own examples as a math professor, but this very well applies to any other area of STEM. A fixed mindset statement can be something like, great effort, you tried as hard as you could. A growth mindset statement is, the goal isn't to get it right immediately. The goal is to improve your understanding step by step. What can you try next? So these are some of the differences between fixed mindset and growth mindset. Okay, so we have seen this before in the previous slides. The main difference is that in a fixed mindset, you think that you're just not good at something. You just were not born good at this. With a growth mindset, you have to change that paradigm. You have to ask questions. You understand that the effort is what's important, and you seek out challenges as growth opportunities. So see, these are some more differences between fixed mindset and growth mindset. Okay, fixed mindset is to sit back, be passive, do nothing. Growth mindset is to actively engage and work through hard things. So what are some of the strategies for fostering a growth mindset in the classroom? Well, this connects with the other presentation about active learning that you can watch here. Active learning really encourages a growth mindset because you see students growing in the classroom as they practice problems with you. So this is normalizing the struggle. Struggle is part of the learning process, and emphasizing and reinforcing that idea, the idea helps students react positively when they feel challenged. If you have students working with you in problems or challenges in the classroom, you have to tell students that it's okay to have some of these challenges wrong the first time. I mean, after all, how do we learn to ride a bike, or how do we learn to read? We don't read that perfectly on the first try. We have to encourage engagement with challenges. We have to portray challenges as fun and exciting, and easy tasks as boring. Embrace the word yet. If someone makes the statement, I'm not a math person, or I'm not a computer science person, I'm not a programming person, you just have to say, you're not a math person yet, or maybe you just haven't tried hard enough. Okay, you may be surprised all the accomplishments you can do if you haven't tried. Okay, I see this very often with my students, students that say at the beginning of the semester, I'm just not good at math. As they do the homework with me in the big homework, they feel more comfortable and they say, oh, I didn't know I was able to do this, or I didn't know I was good at this. Okay, we have to tout the value of hard tasks to the brain. promote the idea that brains are malleable muscles that can be developed. Research on brain plasticity supports the idea of neural growth, and mindset research has shown that believing the brain can grow has a demonstrative effect on behavior and achievement. And we also have to take the opportunity to celebrate mistakes. Mistakes should be viewed as learning opportunities. Teachers can model this outlook in reactions to their own mistakes and steps they take to correct a mistake. We also have to set goals. Having students set incremental, achievable goals demonstrates that attainability of growth and progress. So you can tell your students, maybe your goal can be to do this next problem without help from the professor, or try to start the problem on your own. So you have to help the students set their own goals. It's also very important that students work together to solve problems. This emphasizes process and reinforces the importance of getting help and finding solutions. When I do my active learning classes, I usually have students that they do not like to work in groups. They feel like they can do everything on their own, or if they're stuck, they just don't feel comfortable asking anyone. But we have to encourage those students to work with someone else, maybe explain something to another classmate, so that way they can really improve their understanding. This also de-emphasizes individual outcomes. They're not on their own in those classes. We have to provide challenges. Part of developing a growth mindset is teaching students to overcome obstacles, particularly hard math problem or complex writing assignment that stretches their abilities can provide opportunities for growth and further instruction that emphasizes problem solving. I'm very often surprised to see how much students can get on their own. When I give like challenging problems about probability that they have to program stuff, students usually surprise me with their own solutions, very creative, very surprising to see how much they can get. So you need to motivate your students. So something that I learned when I learned about growth mindset the first time, we have to avoid praising intelligence. This may seem counterintuitive, but praise for being smart reinforces the idea that intelligence is a fixed trait. This can be demotivating for the students being praised because they say, okay, I'm smart. This is something that I was born with. I don't have to try harder. As well as for those who don't receive the praise. Okay, that student is smart, so that means that I'm not smart. We have to avoid that. Don't oversimplify. Okay, well, of course, don't say something like, you can do anything. May feel like harmless encouragement, but if students aren't put in a position to overcome challenges, they'll conclude that such statements are empty, and the instructor will lose credibility. So I want to show you what kind of activities I do in a class like college algebra. It's very important to do this in freshman level courses so that students have a good first year experience. On week 1, students are asked to watch a short video on neuroplasticity, and then they answer some questions in Blackboard or Canvas. Let me show you this directly in my Blackboard site. Okay, so this is the discussion. Okay, I put a discussion in my college algebra course about growth mindset. So I tell my students, have you or someone you know ever said, I'm bad at math, there's nothing I can do about it? Well, what if I tell you that no one is good at math from the start? Were you able to read perfectly from the start? The same thing happens with math or any other STEM course. Our intelligence is malleable. Sometimes we struggle with our math skills, but that doesn't mean we can find ways to improve them. You might say to yourself, I'm bad at math, but you can work around that and get better. I can help you with that. You can read the questions carefully and underline the important numbers, write down a list of what I know from the question, underline what the question is asking you to find, and look for the connection between what I know and what I need to find out. This may help you a lot in the course. If you watch the active learning presentation, you know that these are the kind of things students do in my reading assignments, okay? And the following video, so this is the discussion for the first week of classes only. So there's a link to a video that illustrates the concept of neuroplasticity, which means that we can rewire our brains even at the adult age to change bad habits or get good at many skills we thought we were unable to do. So it's a very short video, just 2 minutes. And after watching the video, students should answer these questions. What is the hardest challenge for you when trying to rewire our brains to improve certain tasks as adults? Have you had an experience where you were able to overcome a mental barrier about a task or activity that you were just not good at? What is a bad habit or prejudice you have about your studying habits that you want to change this semester? And the students left their comments in the forum, and they actually replied to other students here. So this was a very fun activity. I want to show you some of the posts that I received here. So for example, I put my own challenges, my own things I thought was not good at. And students replied with things on their own. So let me see if, okay. So I received some of the answers here, okay. So this was a very fun activity, and actually students were very sincere in this activity. I really appreciated that. And they actually were able to change some of their habits throughout the semester. Now, what are some of the things you can do each day to reinforce a growth mindset in the classroom? Well, ahead of class, students must read on their own my lecture notes on a section in college algebra, for example, linear equations. This is what I like to call A homeworks. There's more about this on my active learning presentation. After students read my lecture notes, students have to answer these questions and submit the answers to the LMS before the lecture. What do you think is the difference between a linear function and a linear equation? Can you give examples of both? Okay. When solving a linear equation, do we always expect to find only one solution? Are solutions to linear equations related to the x-intercepts or the y-intercepts? As you can see, these are questions that cannot be answered with just a yes or no, or with x equals 5 kind of answer. Students are going to think deeply about this, and they're going to answer, okay? And they're also going to answer questions like, what new things you learned with this lesson? Is there something in that lesson that surprised you or made you think about the previous lesson we had? And finally, what are your questions about this lesson for the instructor? Be as specific as possible. So students are going to make mistakes here, which is totally normal, totally okay. We are normalizing mistakes in the class. You're not going to grade based on how correct they are, just on how much effort they put into these questions. Then during classroom time, you can highlight some of the answers to the questions you put, questions 1 and 2. You have to praise the diversity of ideas shown. After that, you can give a concise explanation of linear equations, and you can work on different examples and applications of linear equations using the feedback from students in question 4 from the pre-activity. Then the last 30 minutes of the class are reserved for group activities with 2 to 4 problems about the topic covered. This is the B homework type from the active learning discussion. These exercises can vary from just completing missing steps in a solution to fully work out application problems, depending on the class you're teaching. And one cool thing you can try to reinforce growth mindset, after the class activity, after students complete the B homework, as a take-home assignment, the students can reflect about the lesson plan, answering the following questions. Did the explanation in class about linear equations versus linear functions make clearer the distinction between them to you? How will your answers to question 1 and 2 in the pre-activity change now that you heard the professor's lecture? And what are the concepts or problems that you understand better after the last activity? And finally, do you have questions about linear equations that you still want to ask your professor? So I did this for linear equations and linear functions, but you can do this for any chemistry class or computer science class or biology class. This is just an example in college algebra. You can also ask what elements from this lesson plan work best for you. So you can choose some of these questions. You can put all of these questions in a post-activity assignment. This is completely up to you, but that way you are reinforcing a growth mindset and you're telling the students that we learn through practice and we learn from our mistakes. Okay, so I hope that these tips and activities are helpful to you, and I hope that you implement them in some way in your next course. You can also try a combination of active learning and growth mindset, and I can help you with both. I hope that you like this video. Thank you so much for watching.